I see people very, very anxious. I see young people, children, also worried and anxious today. Again, I don't think I'd ever heard of an educational psychologist when I was at school. And today I hear of educational psychologists at schools. So that's telling me a story. And so young and old, everybody seems to be worried and anxious. And again, I see that it's not an external problem. Maybe there's a situation where really there is cause for concern. For example, it may be that I don't have enough money. Maybe it's possible that I've been given a diagnosis of an illness and it could be quite threatening. Or maybe somebody I love very much who's close to me has been given that diagnosis. So there are very real causes for anxiety sometimes. But also, have you noticed that sometimes there are things that are quite stable, quite okay, but there's the habit of worrying. And a person gets anxious when there's really no need to be anxious at all. I'm not even talking about the extreme situations of phobias, because that is something which is a medical issue and can be dealt with separately, but just day-to-day living and worried about this, that, and the other. You know, there was a survey done some time ago, and this was by one of the British national papers, daily papers, and they asked people how often was it that the cause of their worry became a reality, and how often was that the cause of their worry really had no basis at all. And they discovered later that there was no basis, they were just worrying. And about 80% of the time, the things that we are worried about actually never happen. So that's also a fact of life. But just thinking about where people really have a cause for anxiety. Maybe I don't have enough money. Is it possible for me to think about money in a different way? And instead of thinking not having enough, I start thinking, well, where is it I can start saving? And probably there are things that I can simplify in my life to a certain extent, maybe not a great extent, a certain extent. Maybe is it possible for me to get a second job? And maybe it's not. I understand that also. But just allowing the mind not to get stuck into just worrying, I can't, what's going to happen, to start thinking a little bit differently, to start moving the mind into a space that's a little bit more creative, so that I allow myself the possibility of hope for the future. Because so often with worry and anxiety comes depression, in which I lose hope for the future. And human life without hope is really no life at all. But if I can shift my thinking and come back to a state in which I can be a little bit more creative, there can be hope. I know, for example, when people have been told about illness, I've seen two reactions. Again, a person lose hope and become very anxious, but other people, and it's not one or two, it's been several individuals that I've seen, and they look at it differently. They look at it as an opportunity to change the course of their life, where they've been busy, and haven't had time for family, haven't had time for the self. Now they discover that it's now possible. They're given permission to be able to shift their lifestyle and make time for the self and family. And once they start doing that, again, the quality of life begins to improve. And of course, again, it's a known medical fact that if you have faith and hope, you're more likely to be able to reverse the illness, whatever it may be. And if you lose hope and say, woe is me, how sad, how bad, who can help you? Even the doctors can't help you. And so my way of thinking, my pattern of thinking is something that I can take charge of, which is something that we've never appreciated usually. We think that, the way I'm thinking is the way I am, and that's how it's always going to be. But spirituality is saying, I am the master of my own mind. I am the master of my own thoughts, and I can move my thoughts from a dark place to a place of light. I can begin to shift my own thinking and make it different.
Welcome back, everyone. It's so good that we could see each other every day and just connect from our homes to each other's homes, and to keep the soul spiritually sustained and alive and inspired. We just had one of those laugh until you couldn't laugh moments. Santosh, who many of you know at the Meditation Museum, had found a project that we did in Mount Abu, India years ago. What do they call it? A VCR? VR. It's a VR, which is a virtual reality. And you put on these goggles, and then, you see the universe, and you go beyond the universe, and then you start to feel that you're not in your body anymore. And then you start to feel like you're going into God's womb. And it was such a beautiful video. I remembered so specifically working on that years ago. And so he tried to put it on Sister Gita this evening, and it was a riot, to say the least. And can I tell you that I laughed so hard that he was actually hearing me laugh in my bedroom as I was watching this video that we captured, which was about maybe 9 seconds, if that long. And he's wondering, why is she laughing so much? So I decided to forward the video to Santosh, and then I heard him laughing down the other end of the house. And you could hear these two parties just laughing. And poor Sister Gita comes into the room and goes, "What's going on? What's so funny?" And it was just, that's one of the benefits of being kind of locked down in your home with the people that you love. And to, share your good karma with people that you care about, because nowadays there's so much, negativity or fear or things going on that we're not always able to be our best with one another. So hopefully you and your family can have one of those laugh until your tummy hurts moments like we just did today. And forgive me if I end up cracking up laughing again, because it's still in my system. Even when I just emerged the image, I actually want to start laughing. And I even sent it to a few friends, and it was nice for me to have given them joy. And if we happen to be able to find the video, I might be able to share that with you. Today's hour together will be about the philosophy of karma, and what goes around comes around, and are we in this situation globally because of our karmas, and that the karmas that we've been performing have created the time that we're in. Many of us are saying, oh, these times and these challenging times. And what I'd like you to think about is to think collectively that, yes, these times are revealing what we individually as collectives have been thinking and doing. And so it's reached this critical mass moment where we're all now dealing with the same issues. Can you even try to think of this? One of our students just made one of the last flights out of India, and it was really a touching. I had this really pure feeling. I says, please just get out now. She was scheduled to come back at the end of March, and we have about 4 more of our students in India, and I've been just sitting in meditation. Please get them on a flight out. I know Prime Minister Modi has requested a curfew from 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. That's the only time you can be on the road. And so we're just hoping to get them back to as soon as possible. Every life matters. Every life. Rich, poor, black, white, pink, blue, Spanish, not Spanish. It matters because we're all God's children. And I feel that when we look at the whole philosophy of karma, there are 2 choices that we have. We either choose to worry and have anxiety, which is valid, because there are going to be financial restraints. I mean, our museums are closed for 2 months already. It's going to be closed for about 2 months. So we've been closed already for a week. We have no idea how it's going to continue, but God's blessings and all of our good karma will keep everything going. But that's not important, is it? What's more important is how healthy are we going to be, and how are we going to look out for each other and take care of each other. That's really the karma. Yesterday we had a meeting, and the discussion was, when you think about the billions of dollars and trillions of dollars that have gone into the instrument of war, the question had arisen about it would have been nice too if we had used so much of that money in our healthcare system in a way that if a pandemic had reached the world 10 years ago, that we would have had the systems in place and the facilities and the supplies available. And there's no one to blame. The point that I'm trying to make karmically is, a lot of us might be thinking more about the economic karmic strain of these times, and it's valid. And I wondered, what if we start to think about what it would be like if we started to believe in a bartering system, a system where I help you because I have a big amount of this, and you can help me because you have a large amount of that particular item that I need. And imagine if we started to just barter with each other and didn't worry about the greed factor that's come into place now, and large corporations, the airline industry, the restaurant industry, everyone's taking a hit at a very deep level, and first and foremost is about the economy. And so imagine if the person who owns my house, for example, says, you don't have to pay the rent. And then he has his house and he has a mortgage, and he says, you don't have to pay the mortgage. And then everybody else is like, you don't have to pay, you have to upkeep, you have to, and people start to find, well, what are you good at? What can you help me with? How do we, I'm just giving you maybe a very idealistic karmic idea that we could start to percolate. But there must come a time where this human greed comes out of the equation. And there is an imbalance where a very small percent of us have a lot of money and the rest of us are living paycheck to paycheck. There's got to be some karmic law connected here. So our discussion today on karma will be simple. I don't want to go into too much details. I mean, we can do a whole karma series because everything that's going on in our lives today is because of karma. So let's try to look at the word karma. And even when you think about karma, what comes to your mind? Sometimes people always come up with the biggest issues, like the biggest problems, like karma is, oh, that's just her karma. I've heard that so many times. But what if we just looked at karma as it's our actions? So for example, I'm performing the karma of cooking for my family with love. It's a good karma, isn't it? Here's another way of maybe elevating that action, that karma. I'm cooking food in God's remembrance to feed this family. You see the subtle shifts? So imagine if every day you're cooking food and you're cooking it in remembrance of God, the God that you pray to, and you're saying, this is the food that I'm cooking with this vibration to feed the family in this house. That's very, very good karma, because the intention of the place that you're coming from is so pure. And so the return of that intention will certainly give you mental freedom, emotional comfort, spiritual well-being, physical health, happy relationships. Because when those people eat the food that you cooked with such devotion and such care and such love, they're going to feel the vibration that you cook the food with. So when you look at the word karma, and I wish we could put it up on the screen, but we'll do that at another time. But just always remember, karma means action. Karma is action. I'm about to perform the karma of using my hands. I'm performing the karma of speaking through my lips. I'm performing the karma of seeing through my eyes. I'm performing the karma of listening through these ears. I've performed the karma of getting dressed this morning. Now, what was the state of my mind? Was I in a peaceful state or was I not? So let's say I'm getting dressed and I'm very frustrated. I've accomplished getting dressed, but during the action of putting on the clothes and fixing everything right, my mind was in a distressed state. So I look in the mirror and I seem fine, I look fine, but when I look into the screen of my mind, I'm not fine. So there's a mixed signal there. I'm not clear with what's going on. Life seems perfect, but in my mind, I don't feel so great. So the area of karma that we've really not paid a lot of attention to is the karma of thoughts. What are your thoughts when you're in action? And really doing mediocre, very simple, very ordinary actions. Where are your thoughts? Your thoughts determine the result of that choice, that karmic choice that you make. I knew this student many, many years ago. And, you know, it's always interesting when we observe each other to learn more about ourselves. And she would come to the meditation center dressed to the nines, and her dressing style was quite unique. She would dress with like a pink scarf and maybe a purple pants and then a yellow blouse, and her hair was always very uniquely designed, almost as if maybe she did comb it but didn't comb it, but you weren't sure if she combed it. And she just had this energy of someone very ancient. And she was in the 21st century, and she actually worked for an embassy here. So she was a diplomat. And when I would look at her, I would see karmically that her style is very flamboyant, very theatrical. And inside of her mind, though, she was very simple. And it fascinated me how someone who internally seemed so simple could dress that way, because when she would speak to me or do things, it was just very, very simple. So one of the reasons I'm watching how things have become so complex is that we spend a lot of energy on what we see, what we hear, what we say, what we touch, what we do, what we smell, and we define everything that we are seeing, hearing, touch, smell, speaking from the physical manifestation, but not what was the energy behind creating that. One of the beautiful things I've appreciated with mystics, especially those that are very sincere, is that they don't believe everything that they see. They tend to tap into the more energetic space of where the person is coming from. One of our trainings in the Brahma Kumaris is that you could tell the elders anything you want, but they would try to sense, well, what's in her heart? What is that she really needs? I remembered one day I went to see Daddy Janki in Mount Abu, and Daddy Janki is one of the pillar of the Brahma Kumaris right now, and she's 104 years old. And let us keep sending our pure feelings and good wishes to her for sure. I know that she's just opened to receiving that vibration now, so just sending Daddy Janki our love and pure feelings. But I had gone into her room to just simply say hello and just give her a little bit of an update of things that were happening in Washington. And she asked her assistant to call me back. And she says, Daddy wants to see you again. And I went back in and she looked at me and she says, empty your heart now. It's as if she knows, she just knew there was a pain in my heart. Even though I had gone there to tell my story, that wasn't the karma she wanted to hear or see. She wanted the karma of the place of truth that I was to be cleared out while I was in action. So I feel that one of the reasons why we're struggling with really understanding ourselves is that the virtue of honesty is the need of the time. And the more we can be honest with the thoughts that we're having, with the feelings that we're having, and then we're aware of those thoughts and feelings while we're in action, we can fix up ourselves very fast with this few weeks or days of, I don't know what this is, being incubated or being isolated or being locked down in your home, but we can check everything that's going on inside of us now. I was sharing when I was in India about my friend. I had a little bit of an experience that kind of made me not feel so good. And when I'm not feeling good, it became very hard for me to speak to someone when my heart's not clean. And because my friend is so mature and has a tremendous amount of love, I so respected the way she received my truth. And even though I might have still been struggling with receiving hers, there was still her pure karma was there that our friendship and relationship means much more than our disagreement. Now, when I see scenes like that, it says we're coming from some good karma, even if we've had a challenging moment. So, back to the word karma, it simply means actions. What I see through these five senses become the gateway to how I'm receiving a message. So now it's the coronavirus. Maybe it'll be something else next. Maybe it'll be a situation or a husband or a wife or a child that's speaking to me like this, doing this, whatever it might be that just disturbs your spirit. Is it that they're disturbing your spirit, or is your spirit already disturbed? So when you apply the virtue of honesty to the way that you're feeling, you make room for good karma to take over. Because it's good karma to also repair some of the mistakes that you've made in your past. But if you deny the feelings that you're going through in the past and project blame on other people about what they did and should have done, and you totally miss the fact that your behavior was off because your spirit is off, then what we do is that we perpetuate that energy of negative karma. And we don't even know that it's us that has to be fixed. Why is the world isolated right now? Why are people living in their apartments by themselves? Why are families with themselves? Why are roommates alone? Why are you stuck with the people for the next few weeks in your country? Karma. The universe, the drama, the destiny is telling each and every one of us, I'm going to need you to look inside. And I'm going to need you to really be honest. Have you been good? Have you been taking care of yourself? Is there an area in your personality that you need healing? It's a great time. So like I said earlier, the whole word of karma, where it's like actions, why don't we look at kind of 3 dimensions of karma now? And try to, maybe you can write it down on a piece of paper and explore them for yourself tonight or tomorrow. 1 is elevated karma. Any action performed in God's remembrance, in which you want nothing in return because you're experiencing the benefit of your love link, your spiritual link in connection to God, and the soul is feeling so good that it doesn't matter. I know that a lot of us on the field of service, we're so inspired to just be these givers that it feeds you to just feel the energy of God's the energy of God's light just on you and just moving you. So that will be called elevated karma. The second form of karma is good karma. The example I gave of cooking food for the family that you love. So it's like I give you $10 and you give me, maybe $15 in return. It's good. You feel the benefit of it. There is also another karmic process, which I think is what we're all going through in the world right now, and that's negative karma. And that would be any actions that was performed with the motive of ego, attachment, greed, anger, anger, or lust. Pause for a little. Negative karma, which are actions performed with the thought motive and thought intention that there was ego in this action, attachment in this action, anger in this action, lust in this action, peacelessness in this action. Interesting, right? That energy of consciousness determines that the result that I want from my action doesn't come back. It only brings back the energy of the intention that I perform that action with. Every single person on the planet right now, they're thinking about their lives. And the longer they stay hunkered down in their homes, what's going to start to emerge in our personality is the way that we've been living. So if we've had a very principle-based, value-based, consistent lifestyle, there's kind of a structure that is in alignment with the laws of nature, this won't make a difference for you. But if you've had a kind of a structure or system that was based on feeding the ego or the anger or the greed or the jealousy or the competition or the lust and all the other factors that I'd mentioned earlier, no matter how comfortable your home might be, the energy of this karmic vibration will disturb the soul. So here's what we do to try to iron out our karmas. First and foremost, accept what you have been doing with your life up until now. Look at it. Look at your life completely. Write it down in a journal, or do like what I do many times. I'll record on my smartphone what I've been feeling, what I've been going through, just so I can just hear myself back and even hear what I sound like. And sometimes I can feel like this, the issue that's going on more clearly, as if I'm my own therapist. So either record your biography of what you've been going through. Have you been a kind person? Have you been generous? Have you thought about the well-being of other people other than what suits only you? Have you made sacrifices that you don't regret? Have you been humble enough to say sorry when you've done something inappropriate? Are you open and accepting to knowing that life is a learning journey? So have this dialogue with yourself. Either write a letter to yourself on paper or just record it on your smartphone and play it back. And as you're playing it back, check how your whole body feels as you hear the person that you're honestly talking about, the person that you're honestly sharing this information about, which is you. Keep checking how that makes you feel. And don't judge it, just check the feeling. No need for judge. We're all in this together, and no one's perfect on the planet yet. So just hear yourself back. Read it back. And as you hear it back or read it back, try to underline an area in your story that you feel like this has continuously come up again and again and again. It has hurt me. It has hurt my friends. It has hurt my family. And then quietly start to see what is the solution to this particular part of my karmic personality. Just look at it and start to look for information, research, classes, programs that can help you to say, I don't want to be this person post-corona. I don't. It's going to require a lot of courage, but the reward will be amazing. So in doing so, you will get a chance to really see clearly yourself. Now, the third thing I'd like you to try to do is, as you're walking and moving around the house, if you happen to live there alone, then look in the mirror and bless yourself. If you're with other people in the house without them knowing, can you continuously keep practicing sending them through your mind your blessings, your pure feelings, your good wishes for their well-being? I guarantee you that's going to make you feel awesome. The fourth thing, the small actions that you're doing around the house nowadays, whether it's picking up things that are on the floor, whether it's vacuuming, wiping down the windows, ironing, doing laundry, rearranging the home, doing a video, getting dressed, talking to friends. See if you can bring a little bit of the intention, I'm a peaceful soul speaking. I'm a pure soul cooking. I am a powerful soul rearranging the house. Try to see if you can focus on the energy of that thought. Nurture the energy of that thought while you're in action. In my early days of spiritual training, we were taught and told again and again and again and again and again until we understood its power. I could have washed dishes for 100 times, and until I washed those dishes in peace, I would not hear somebody telling me, be peaceful, wash it in peace, close the cupboard more quietly. It's like you need to keep hearing it, because the past personality and energy of karma is just being done very humanly. It's so thick and it's in our nature that unless somebody who loves and cares for me or has a bigger vision for me keeps telling me, don't speak so loud, don't laugh so loud, don't slam the door, don't, right? You keep telling them again and again and again. Why? Because to change the wiring in your brain, to transform the wiring in your personality, requires consistent reminding. I have to be consistently reminded, I'm a peaceful soul. I am cleaning this house peacefully. I'm a pure soul. I'm taking care of the plants purely. And you've got to keep repeating it until the physical actions and the thought match. They have to match. Like if I'm a peaceful and pure soul, then that should reveal itself in my life, in everything I do. Many times people will say, I'm a very loving person, but I don't really like that person. So again, that's still a mixture. So I want to be loving. I know I'm a loving person. But when I'm with that particular person, I'm reminded I still have more work to do. That's good karma, because you're using the virtue of honesty. And that's helping you to get through that particular period in your life. So imagine these things as you're moving through these days, and recognize that we're in this time because of our karmas. It's not even anymore America. People used to always say, oh, America's karmas are really bad. So now what's wrong with Italy? So Italy's karmas, what about China? Okay, what about India? All right, now what about Europe? So whose karmas are really bad now? All of us. All of us are being asked, clean out the spirit. In the teachings of Raj Yoga meditation, we offer 6 classes. The first class is on know who you are, that you're a soul on a journey. You're holding way too many stories in your personality. Some have to be deleted, and some new stories have to be created. The second lesson is know God. Have a deep link to God, who's the Supreme Being, and the vibration of that connection to God will help to purify your nature, you the soul. The third thing, as a result of connecting to the soul and the Supreme Soul, don't go performing those old actions over and over again. Let them reduce. Replace them with new actions, new way of thinking and being. Tonight, even if I challenge you to go and wash your dish, I can assure you, try to wash your dishes in peace, and you'll be like a completely different person, right? So the fourth lesson is that, what if all of this is cyclical? And like the Incas and the Mayans have said, that there's a golden age coming. And as a result of this particular time that we're in, where everything seems so uncertain, fear-driven, and dark, maybe it has to close. And in the closing of this particular very dark age, are a lot of us, a lot of human beings, stepping up to bring in the love, the purity, the peace, the power into the personality. And that will be our golden aged world. I mean, that's how the world will become golden aged, is when human beings' personality change and become golden aged. I think the fifth lesson, I haven't taught the lesson for a long time, but the fifth lesson is on our tree of humanity and how the seed of the tree is God, the Supreme Being. And from the seed, births these roots. And the roots are all the souls that are awakened and very inclusive and very loving and very pure and very peaceful and very wise. These will be very, very wise souls on the planet, the ones who are the roots of the tree of humanity. They're your wisdom keepers. They know deeper secrets of time and what's going on. And as a result of their vibrations, they create this really strong trunk where everything is united and has become one. But as time and nature evolves, it starts to also branch out. And then you start to see this tree of various religions. Hinduism starts, Judaism starts, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, and so many other flavors of looking for God or preaching to God or worshiping God emerges. So in that class, on the fifth class, you get to a point like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so curious about not the why in terms of I don't have the answer, but I'm curious in observing how all the religious places, spiritual places, restaurants, places are closed. And everybody has to again go inwards. So we're at a point where a new sapling is getting planted because again the golden age is coming. And we're going to need certain inner powers. And so we do have one of the classes where the 8 powers are there to teach us how to apply the power to face, the power to pack up, the power to accommodate, the power to discern. There are 8 incredible powers, and if you go onto the Brahma Kumari's websites, you can see these full 8 powers available to assist you in dealing with situations that are coming in your life. And then we'll look at just how the teachings and the study comes. Why I'm telling you about the practice of Raj Yoga meditation is that it gives you the tool to develop your own personal power to become your best version. In the teachings of Raj Yoga, you start to really think for yourself because you get to know who you are. And you start to feel this connection to God, to Source. And it starts to move you in a way that you thought was never possible. You start to become more disciplined in the way you think, the choices of words, the things you decide to tweet out. You will always ask, is this going to give sorrow? or not. So when we're trying to shift the game of karma, we have to keep asking ourselves, first on a thought level, is this thought going to give sorrow to someone? And you'll find that when you can't hold back a thought that's going to give sorrow for someone, that's because the energy is really stirring in you. All the ego, the anger, the greed, the attachment, that's what's coming up. And that's a sign that I still have this heavy duty negative karma in me. And I have to get that out. That's what's holding me back from my success. Emotional success, financial success, physical success, health-wise, relationship success. Anything that's failing in these areas, I can connect them to ego, anger, greed, lust, or attachment. Always. Always. Even if I can't see it right now, if the energy is still swirling somewhere in my personality, it will attract that vibration to help me to see deeper and to do some deeper work. Anyone ever had a root canal done? That's a different kind of cavity, right? You can have like a cavity on the surface of your tooth and it's just removed with a little bit of chipping and drilling. But when you've got a deep, deep cavity in that tooth where it's touching the nerve and the dentist has to do a root canal, that's the kind of work I think we're being called to do now. So to clean up our karma, first check, is this thought going to give anyone sorrow? Definitely myself. Another way to help to clean up the karma, record your own story on your smartphone to see how you've been, what you've been up to. And also you can check, you can write a letter to yourself as well and to see. But remember, it's not just about the physical choices you make, but it's the why behind that choice. Why am I doing this? Does it give sorrow? Or will this give joy? And it might need to be a collective joy, not just a joy for me, because a lot of us will say, well, I've got to just be me. Yes. And does your me help humanity and help the whole? Some things to think about in the whole journey of karma. So every day we're going to have something new and something special available for you. I hope you enjoyed the movie on Daddy Yankee yesterday, which we all loved watching so much. Imagine being such a personality at 104 years old and having given her whole life, 84 years in service. And the whole world is that all the friends and folks that she has elevated, we're all remembering her a lot, giving her a lot of our pure wishes and blessings as well. So if you have any thoughts or questions about my discussion, feel free to just send a comment or an email, and I'd be happy to support them. Someone asked me, why is it that some good people suffer? And I say again, on the external, they are good, and they are good people. But there could be an abscess somewhere deeply in the root of the soul that still has a vibrational energy, which you and I can't see fully. But that energy does exist. And that energy wants to be addressed and wants to be cleared up. And so when we do see things where it looks like it's not fair, I know there's certain things that are just not fair. I'll agree. And yet, there's a significant reason why everything happens the way it does. Just have faith that the story isn't over yet. Your destiny isn't complete. And at the end of the game, we're all going to be okay. But if we can just keep paying attention to what these thoughts are saying. Why am I thinking this? It will be your livelihood. It'll be your protection. And It'll be your joy. You will feel a tremendous amount of happiness if you take care of your mind and have the right thoughts. So from all of your friends and family here at the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Museums, we hope you're well. And we hope you're using this time in a worthwhile way. Today we scroll through some of the messages on the phone. Oh, I forgot to mention that we're launching tomorrow morning at-home meditation challenge. So what we would love for you to do is just from your home, do a meditation, do a prayer, post a poem, a song, something that is more inspirational than anything else. We want to be able to generate prayer, silence, meditation, vibrations that will kind of stimulate something very sacred or something very divine in our atmosphere, because if the internet and the social media is filled with just he said, she said, and it shouldn't have been this, and he did this, and she did that, that vibration is spreading all around the atmosphere, and it's a negative karma. And we're in this situation because we haven't been paying attention to ourselves, right? So just put in the hashtag @home meditation challenge. Record your meditation, prayer, song, poem, or your moment of silence and post it on your network. You can tag us at the Meditation Museum or on America Meditating, but also challenge a family member in another home or somewhere else and have them send in a meditation, a prayer, a moment of silence, a poem, or a song. But just remind them to add the hashtag @home meditation challenge so we can fill up the social media and the ethers with people just praying and blessing each other and meditating. I know because a lot of people are home, I'm seeing a lot of videos with people dancing and doing quirky things and stuff like that. And I get it. In addition to that, send us some peaceful, loving vibrations. Let that permeate karmically over the land so that the land can feel our calm, our love, and our sacredness. Keep in touch. Take care. Om Shanti. Enjoy this meditation moment that we're about to have, and we'll see you tomorrow at 6:30. Om Shanti. The time that we choose to be aware doesn't necessarily require me to just sit and meditate. But even while I walk and move around, I can be in a meditative awareness, which is awareness of the soul, the original, eternal, imperishable being of light. For a little while, I'd like to invite you to be present, to be here, and to be now. Allow your mind to settle in the moment, to relax. This meditation is about awareness. It's about becoming aware of your original and eternal self. It's about connecting to your truth. Let go of your name. And observe yourself feeling nameless. Let go of your gender to discontinue thinking you're a man or a woman. Let it go and observe how you would feel walking around without a gender. Let go of the role that you play and let go of the titles that you own. Observe how you're feeling as you are gradually letting go. Let go of your religion and put it aside just for now. And let go of your nationality and even the language that you're accustomed to. Imagine you have no name, gender, role, title, religion, nationality, or even a language. Ask yourself, how do you feel at this moment? And in this feeling, who would think of you and who would you think of? The Supreme Soul would think of you, and you, the liberated soul, would think of the Supreme. In this state of absolute freedom, I am truly who I am. A free, peaceful, pure, immortal, and eternal soul. Allow yourself to just be absorbed in this awareness. At this time,